learn today's latest news surrounding Wesley Fofana, as finally we have captured and announced the defender on a 7-year contract. Learn his first words and how exactly Fofana can be used throughout the season. To follow on, we have big updates on AUBAMEYANG, as well as surprising news on Neymar of Paris Saint-Germain. So with the window ending very soon, you guys, so much will happen, and make sure you guys stay tuned to BlueLionsTV for the latest updates. Now, before we get into anything, I want to get one big plug out of the way first. And right now there is a new episode of the Last Fan Standing series, and this week we're talking about Premier League defenders and tier list ranking them. I'm going to play you guys a brief clip now.
You can't tell me a compelling argument why I think he's probably got the best distribution as a centre back.
Stones is not world class, Boovy.
Neither of these are world class.
You need
to. We're talking about the standards in the Premier League. 18 months ago, he's in team of the season as a centre back. He was unbelievable. He helped us win a Premier League.
Yeah, I'm sure you guys all heard the same thing I heard. John Stones, world class in the same sentence. I'm not understanding how you get to that conclusion. The guy is a good defender, that can't be denied, but world class is getting thrown around way too easily. I'm sorry, he doesn't get in our team. Last year, he wouldn't have got in our team with Christensen and Rudiger, who I think are better players than him. And I'm not really understanding where this is coming from, but for me, this is why I like this week's episode so much, because it brings a lot of conversation out. So if you guys want to get involved in the conversation, there will be a full link to the episode in the card above and description below. And getting back to the video, announcement in Wesley Fofana. Now, the amazing news is we haven't paid a world record fee to sign the defender, and we've signed him for less than 70 million. We've signed him for £69.5 million, which is incredible, and testament to Todd Boehly and the team for being able to strategize in such a way to sign Fofana for the fee we want. That's incredible business, and massive credit goes out to him. Surprisingly, Fofana does sign on a 7-year contract, and what's interesting about this is that not only does that safeguard his prime years and keeps him at Chelsea Football Club, but the most important thing too is the fact that this entire deal can now be amortized, and the fact that he's worth 70 million, it can now be paid off in 7 installments over 7 years. So 10 million a year plus his wages is decent for a player like Wesley Fofana, where there's massive belief within the club that this guy can be the next big centre-back in European football. He can be world-class and one of the very best in his position. So let's hope that that does become the case. Let's hope we create the perfect environment for the player to fulfill his natural talents and abilities, because he looks very enthusiastic to be signing for us. We've all known how he's been moving on social media. He's been desperate for this move to happen. He's done his bit to force Leicester's hand so he can come and sign for us. And yeah, I think that we do kind of need some younger players to build for the future, because that's the thing we can't forget. Realistically, we're going for a top 4 finish, but we're still putting in the pieces now to be ready for a team for the following years as well too. So right now, let's actually hear some of his first words, and let's look at his interview that he gave to the club's official website. As the headline states, Fofana signs for Chelsea Football Club. We scroll down, and Fofana had this to say: "The last 2 days have been really big days for me, and I'm very happy. I trained this morning with the team, and it's a dream for me. I'm very excited to start playing games for the fans and the club. I'm here to win trophies, the Champions League, Premier League, FA Cup, Carabao Cup, everything. I come here to win, and the club is built to win trophies, so I'm here to continue that." So of course, we know that this guy is highly ambitious. Let's continue to scroll down and hear the words from Todd Boehly, as well as members of the board as well too. As Todd Boehly states, "Wesley is a huge promising defender who has already proven his quality in the Premier League at a young age. We are delighted we are able to bring in one of Europe's most exciting talents to Chelsea and further strengthen that area of our squad, both for this season and many more to come." And let's really stress upon the fact that we are signing players to last at this club for many years to come. And scrolling down, Egbali and Feliciano. Sorry, I'm being hella immature right now. I'm sorry. We continue to build for success and a bright long-term future for Chelsea. And Wesley fits our vision perfectly. He is a player who can make an impact on the squad immediately. Whilst at his age, he will only improve further going forwards. We are excited to see what he can achieve at our club. So that's all the main words from the interview. There was another interview that was released where Fofana really showed some of his personality and character, so make sure you guys watch that on the club's official YouTube page. Before we end things though, Fofana did confirm that Reece James actually messaged him on Instagram about a month ago, and he said, "You're coming, you and me play on the right sides. It's good for the confidence, and now he confirms that James is his guy now, and it's good to know that, of course, these guys get along, because it's very important to have team spirit. So for me though, I think it's quite interesting for Fofana, his credentials, his attributes. As I keep stressing, this guy is very moldable. He has no significant weakness in his game whatsoever. He is a very good proactive style defender, so that means that he's very good at anticipating when to leave his offensive line to engage by defending forward in that sense. And I think for a team like us that relies upon stopping and mitigating teams' counterattacks, Fofana's ability in this area is going to be key for us. And for me, I can't help but think, could we potentially even use a back four, knowing the fact that you can rely upon Fofana in 1v1 duels. He has incredible recovery pace. He's one of the fastest defenders in the Premier League. He's proactive, he's aggressive, and he's very comfortable at carrying the ball and playing out from the back as well too. So he has a lot of things going for him in his game. And it gets you thinking sometimes, can we take that calculated risk? And I really stress calculated risk in certain games where maybe we can rely on using a back four. I feel like we definitely need more time to really build a better understanding using that system. I don't think we can rely upon using a back three throughout the entirety of the season, but at least this means now that Reece James can play further up as a wing back, which is his best position. He is our best creator. Reece James essentially is our playmaker, so I think him and Fofana can have a very strong understanding over many years at this club. And for me, I think Fofana is a decent move in the end. But you guys, share your thoughts and opinions. How do you feel about the signing and capturing of Fofana? Let us all know below. And right now, let's move on to things. So right now, let's move on by discussing the latest updates on Aubameyang. We have to start things off by remembering the horrific incident that was faced by Aubameyang over the past few days. Of course, robbers come into his house, taking goods. Aubameyang being forced to defend his family from these invaders, and in the end taking the consequences of doing that by getting a broken jaw and being, a bit bruised up and bad. So, of course, credit to him for stepping up for his family. But due to that, it does mean that now there's a possibility that this will take at least 3 weeks for his jaw to fully recover and heal. Talks are that potentially if he was to get surgery, it could make things a bit faster and quicker, but I'm not too sure whether he want to get unnecessary surgery for no reason. But to move on though, it still means that it adds a further complication to this deal for Aubameyang. Currently, this deal isn't completely off. Of course, we have to understand that Barcelona want Alonso as part of a separate deal. Currently, Marcos Alonso has rejected interest from Inter Milan because he only wants to move to Barcelona. So you'd imagine that once we capture Aubameyang, then we'd allow Marcos Alonso to then move to Barcelona. Now, the positive news is that there is some compromise that can come from Aubameyang's side in terms of finding a workaround over the contract situation. Aubameyang wants more years, essentially. He won't get that, and I think a good workaround is to include some performance-related bonuses of where he could activate a year extension if he meets certain requirements. I think that could be quite decent. But the main thing is we need to come to that financial understanding with Barcelona, and they're still adamant that they want over 20 million to actually sell the player to begin with. So this is where things are getting quite hard now. Still, there could be a small silver lining, and now there is a possibility that a loan move is being discussed. We only have literally like a day and a bit left until the window officially ends. How much time can we really spend trying to find a workaround now to sign Aubameyang? It does feel like a loan move with a loan fee. Of course, taking him off the wage book as well too at Barcelona could be the most ideal situation, because the reality is this. If we do sign him, he is going to be injured. He will be out for a bit. And then during November, everyone flies out to represent their national teams for the World Cup. So in a sense, you only have him for maybe a month and a few weeks. So not long enough to have the full benefits of Aubameyang in the squads. For me, it makes sense why you would entertain a loan move based on the recent circumstances, but at the same time, I think from the player and a human perspective as well too, going through something like that, your mentals must be all over the place. Are you even in that right headspace where you have to deal with football again and deal with this negotiation? It's probably the last thing on your mind currently after you face an incident like that. So hopefully he's okay. Let's see what happens. But it does feel like the silver lining now is that we could sign him on loan. Let's see how this story plays out. And right now, we end things by discussing more big news, and let's talk Neymar and Paris Saint-Germain. Now, yesterday we got some news that came up from a Twitter account called Secret Scout. They're kind of renowned for having access to, players in the game and journals and stuff like that. So when they tweet things, reveal things, it's not based on nonsense and lies. They revealed that we were holding discussions with Zaha and had openness to making a move for Neymar. Now, earlier today, we got more confirmation, and this came from the Daily Mail, and you know, their sports section is actually quite decent and reliable, and they say that Paris Saint-Germain have offered us the opportunity to sign Neymar before this window ends. Could we do the impossible now? Is there a possibility that we could sign World Cup form Neymar for this season? It would be a dream. At 30 years old, I mean, this guy could offer us so much in terms of imagination, in terms of that technical play and ability, and hopefully he could be like the figure we need to entice more of South America's top talent to try and sign for us. Like, imagine hypothetically, we signed Neymar, he came. If you're injured, maybe that makes it a bit easier for you to decide, okay, I want to come to Chelsea now because I get to play with one of my heroes in Neymar. Like, is this even real life? How often do opportunities like this even comes? So I'm kind of hoping that that's the type of talismanic effect that a Neymar could bring to us if we were able to get this deal over the line. So I guess it comes down to the player in Barcelona. Now, Neymar doesn't want to leave Paris Saint-Germain. He's very settled there at this point in time, but he may not have a say in this because, of course, Paris Saint-Germain have to abide to financial fair play laws, and currently they've spent a lot of money on signing a brand new midfield. They have to sell players to abide by those rules. They gave Mbappe one of the most ridiculous contracts of all time. The guy's earning around 650k net per week. And when you have players like Messi and Neymar on incredibly high salaries as well too, it might have to force you to sacrifice one of them. And the fact that Messi just came probably won't happen to him, but with Neymar there is a possibility that he could go before the window does end. Now realistically, I'd expect this to be on a loan. There's no way we have the finances to get something sorted, but you'd imagine it would be a substantial loan fee, and the fact that Paris Saint-Germain can take his wages off their accounting books makes things a lot easier and beneficial for them. Still though, if Neymar came but he instantly makes sense with the system and take us to the next level, I'm not too sure. I mean, of course, you need to give him freedom when he plays. He does work hard, but there's a difference between working hard and being at this unrelenting pressing figure from the top. He's not there to do that. With Neymar, you need to create options for his creativity. You need players that can make those runs in behind. You need those types of players that can link up with him when he wants to play 1-2s and vacate into like certain positions between the lines and, you know, find that freedom to roam in those areas. And I think that at times our style of football is just a bit too rigid to just instantly feel like Neymar coming in instantly transforms everything. I mean, I like to think it does bring like a bonus at least. You move Raheem Sterling to the right hand side. I can imagine Neymar playing those little chip balls over the top, like what he does to Mbappe at PSG. But when I see how Neymar plays at Paris Saint-Germain, you know, the way they play football, the passing moves they make, the level of understanding between the players is just not the same as it is with us. I feel like we're a lot more rigid. We're a lot more like automatism based in the sense that players follow rules to a T. You know, you pass the ball here, when you pass you then move there, you pass it here to make that happen, you make that run to make that happen. It feels like we're very formulaic. So for argument's sake, with a player like Neymar, who's like literally the epitome of freedom and expression, could he come here, make sense of our football, and be that like missing fantasy mythical piece that would finally make sense of our attacking football in the system? I'm not too sure. I do need to see what happens, but let's continue to see how the story does develop. How do you guys feel about Neymar potentially being one of the guys to come in before the window ends? Let us all know. And on that note, I'm going to wrap things up and keep things moving. I'm NiniFC, this is BlueLionsTV. I'll catch you guys later with some more videos. Cool.